Well, I'm sitting here today to introduce you to this documentary, and the year is June 2022, and it's almost 25 years from the time that I can go back to my water walk, my journey across this country for water. My name is Eloise Charet of the Bear Clan, and I live in the Kootenays, in a small village called New Denver. As an elder, what we have is a collection of stories, and today I get to tell one of my stories. Our stories are the examples that we put out in this world, and the examples that we will pass on. And in indigenous cultures and in our traditions, we're storytellers. When I think of going back to 1998, it all began in 1997 when 33 of us were arrested for trying to preserve our watersheds. It was turbulent times, and there was peace camps going up. The courthouse was surrounded by water bottles, people feeling that it was very precious to have pure water. And being in the land of the Kootenays, the land of the Snakes people, the one thing we have is pure water. And after being arrested and going to jail for 2 months and fasting and praying for the water, I felt after the court case, what could I do? I had to carry on with this incredible cause. And so came the decision to walk across Canada for water. This is all about the source and the cradle of Genesis, really, that nourishes us and feeds us. So it all began at Mile Zero in Victoria, British Columbia, on the west side of Canada. It began after camping all night with people from the Kootenays as well as Victoria that accompanied me for the very first ceremony to weave the water of the ocean into the bottle that I carried with me the length of Canada to weave waters and bring as a witness, in a way, to what was going on with our water. And I was so grateful to have them accompany me to that, for that moment, that precious moment of taking those first drops from the ocean to carry with me in my Waterwalk bottle.
I just had to come and say 100 support for you. Just wanted to mention one last thing, and that is that I love the sign that these people brought from Spokane. It said, "Trees hold up mountains," and it's so important. We saw those huge mudslides and homes going under 6 feet of mud in that, and that's because of years of devastation of their forests. We don't want that to happen. Let's stop it now so that we can have healthy water and beautiful villages and sustainable ones. Fire, wind and water, 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 fire, wind and water.
And last year, I went to jail for a watershed. I fasted. I couldn't imagine anything worse in my entire life than losing our watershed. And then after that, I went through a lot of the whole court scene, and I'm not familiar with it. It's like, again, a very patriarchal system. I felt like when I looked at the judge, they're telling you to, they're demanding respect, and at the same time, it's like a parent demanding respect while he's spanking you. And when I saw all the papers, the piles of papers going into that courtroom, the boxes, I thought I'd rather have my trees back, thank you. it was lenient with me, but when I saw some of the people of Khmer Rouge, young people, so concerned about life in the future, and the judge coming down on them just like they were awful criminal people, and they were sent to jail, and I saw this young, barely 20 years old young girl weeping, sobbing her heart out. I thought, how could you? How can you? And I just couldn't go through the court scene again. They logged up my watershed this winter. We lost it anyways. It broke me inside. I couldn't even go up and look there anymore, you know. They don't give you the chance to speak. It wasn't so bad for me, but I saw how the others suffered because I went to every court case that I could. And that was, they were all part of me. We were all part of something. And I thought, how can you deal with your people this way? And it might not be cruel physically. They're very attentive. I'm not doing anything physical. But mental stress, it can be just as molesting as physical. We all dwell on the physical, but it goes into the mental and even spiritual. And they see nothing of it. So I thought, what can I do this year to make a difference, to still stand for something I believe in? And I thought, well, I can walk. I can put one foot in front of the other. And each piece, movement on the cement is like a prayer going through. I can at least do that. So that's what I'll do. I'll just walk. And I'm not the first, nor will I be the last. There are many others before me. But at least I felt that in my heart it would give me more value within myself as a human being than what I had going through the court system. And it was something that could also valorize all the people. Anybody can walk. And it's like walking your talk.
Give up everything right then and there. My pillow, my bed. And that's when I set off on the road, and I still had 60 pounds on my back. It was way too much. So those were the rough beginnings. And then later on, Tree and David Shabib and Carrie joined in, and that was in Kamloops. But till then, I walked quite a bit alone, sleeping alone by the side of the road, everything. It was pretty nerve-wracking at times. And, you know, you worry about cougars and men and whatever, all those frightening things.
Hi.
Oh, heart attack.
You're moving at a rate like...
I know.
Man, are you ever
but I
moving?
did it myself in, though, today. So some people from the Shuswap Nation
Oh, yeah.
are going to come just to have a place or something, because I've been sleeping on the side of the road and that, and just doing my best.
Okay. Whoa.
I have these red trucks now because I like starting to do the rural wave and that, so I've got these red truck drivers. I don't know who it is, but they all honk at me, 3 in a row, honk, honk, and we're all waving, you know, so it keeps me distracted.
And I arrived in Kamloops about a few weeks after my long, enduring walk through down the Trans-Canada. I was greeted by Tommy Nez and Colleen Seymour at the top of the mountain.
Kneel down on that. Hello, Eloise.
Hi, Tommy.
Good to have you come.
Thank you for receiving me.
This is our sweat lodge, and then we just see the rocks here for you, knowing that you were coming. I will burn some cedar for this water here. I pray that the God will take care of your wishes. And there are lots of others out there that would like to have that. This water is all over to the east and all over to the south and to the west and then to the north. And this is really what you're striving for, is the water that to purify the water like it used to be a long time ago. There's lots and lots of industries that mess up the water, and we cannot use water like we used to. According to water, the way water is today, it's been contaminated so much. You can see out in the world, people are not healthy. I know pavement is hot. In the daytime, the sun gets hot. Sometimes the town, the cities are a long stretch apart. And it's a lonely walk. It's a very, very lonely walk. Go over there to get this some portion of that water. And we'll come back, and then we'll get ready to go in here to sweat and pray again in there. Go and then come around on the other side. On account of this woman here, Colleen Seymour, and her family, as Shuswap people, that this is their land and then this is their home. She's the keeper of this home here. And on account of her, that this sweat loss went up, and all the things that some of the people that had lost, and me being a Navajo, I come along with the way I was taught, and I picked up a little bit of this and that, and tried to pray so that our people can come back with the way we used to pray with water.
I'm hoping to put this out to all Canadians to join me, to get to Ottawa in the fall for the water, to save our water, to unite as Canadians for something that is truly important. What's the use of giving our children a good education if we can't give them the health to live it out? We have an indigenous lady who lives in this area, and she'll be doing it for us. And it's just a process of putting 3 drops of water into the water and taking 3 drops out.
Swim in this river? No, I don't swim in this river. Because of the things I've seen floating by me when I've been swimming in it.
First thing that comes to my mind when I think about Khmer Rouge Regional Correctional Center is it's an environmental atrocity. This would be a better place if they took down the jail and replanted it with forest renewal money. And the 200 guys in there, 300 guys who'd like to help, would be working for 2 years. We'd all be better off if they tore it down.
Well, this is the beginning of the walk, and it's the first public one for our little group here. We've had just incredible meetings with people, and even though it's a small group, it's a very powerful group.
How can I really make a difference by your example? And just putting that out in such a simple way, like talking with Tree today, he said, I really felt good walking. I felt every time I made a step, I was doing something for Mother Earth. And I said, you know, that's exactly what I thought to myself too when I began all this. Because it's like praying for the earth. Who prays for the earth? We pray for the kids, are they okay in that? And is the car going to hold? And on, I wish I had a house and all these dreams. But who prays for the earth? Who talks to the water anymore? Only our very spiritual people. There's nothing I feel greater than this in my life.
So what do you think about her walk across this country for water?
I think it's wonderful.
So will you join her? Will you join us?
Yes, I would join at some point.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because it's such a time.
I want to get her a vehicle. That's my interest.
I think something will work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always does.
It's really hard to carry your house on your back like a crab carrying a shell. And I found it difficult, but I was walking my talk, and that gave me strength, and I'm stubborn, and that added a little bit more juice to the matter. And so I just kept walking on. When I was almost broken, like in Mission, when these men had to peel my basket off my back, take my cane and sit me down and get me a hot cup of coffee, they gave me energy and hope to continue. And on, all the people that were along the way kept me alive, literally. There are days of just breaking, not being able to go any further, and hope led me on.
Where's this water from?
And this water is woven from all the streams and creeks and river and ocean and everywhere that I walk. And it's called weaving water.
Okay, so eventually this bottle's going to be full?
This bottle will be full and presented to the MPs in Ottawa. When we walked through the reserve, Carrie, who's very outspoken, would turn and say to them, do you know your water is no good? Is that why we're getting sick? That's why we're getting sick. Why didn't they tell us? This is it. This is it. This is the walk of the millennium. And if we as Canadians stand up as a people, what can we show the world? Because this is a worldwide water walk. At the very beginning, the water was woven with water from Benares. When we were in Kamloops, someone flies in with water from Belfast. It was just ongoing water coming from all over the world being woven into this bottle.
And 86 of us stood on the road to stop them from going into Hasty Creek, and logging our watershed. It was our hill. It's a hill with 7 creeks running down it, and a scattering of people, making their way on the hillside, my water comes out of this creek. It's gravity feed. It runs through an entire barn, a watering system, 3 households. Like we drink it. It's the best water in the world, and I don't have to have power to pump it anywhere or push it anywhere or do anything, and there's lots of it. You could make a huge garden. You could grow as much food as you ever wanted to on that hillside.
Send your mother out on the highway? No. Okay.
Would I send my mother out on the highway?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't send her against her will.
A lot of things were pretty bad up in that region, though. In Lake Louise, the CPR had a diesel spill in the water there. And so the parks actually stood up CPR for the first time. They made them clean it up. So CPR goes in there and they scoop it all up, put in new tracks and new dirt, and take the old stuff that's full of diesel fuel down, dump it in the watershed at Golden. It's the railroad all the way across, cuts through all the different watersheds. They spray with different pesticides, and some of them are globally banned. Trichome, it's globally banned, but we're using it.
It's an herbicide.
We got the world supply free. Nobody's supposed to use it, but we will.
So along the way, after being greeted on the reserve at Stony Mountain and moving on to Calgary, I met Dave and Allison Good, who were kind enough to take us into their home. We were greeted by the press. Allison worked so diligently at trying to call everybody in to welcome us as the city of Calgary. And we walked for, I think, close to, I don't know how many kilometers, through the parks along the waterway of Calgary, all the way to the lake that they had created for their water system, and did our weaving of the waters there.
Hello.
Hi.
It's nice to have you here in Regina, Eloise.
Well, thanks for being so receptive.
Well, I'm interested in this Cross Canada Water Walk. What exactly is it that you're doing?
something that was always sacred, free to all people. And I can't see turning sources into resources, into commodities. Constantly we're watching everything on the earth being exploited, even down to our water. That is, for me, the limit. I'm just fed up as a mother. I can no longer fulfill my role, the most sacred role on earth, to be a mother, no matter what else I'll be in my life. To have been a mother was honoring my ancestors, was standing up for all womankind, is preservers and nurturers of life.
So crossing the prairies was extreme. It's kind of the land of open sky. The stars are just twinkling at night. You feel like you can really feel the universe, almost see it around you. And but gee, the days can be hot, and you see the moon setting on one side and you see the sun rising on the other, and they're both blood red. And you know your journey is going to be a hot cooking journey along that cement side of the road.
You would go to a reserve, and there was high amounts of sickness and disease, and then you had a whole different, impression from the people. You got to, like when we went to the reserve up near Sagin Reserve in northern Manitoba, sitting up with Clem Cruchain and Phyllis, and talking about burying their 21-year-old son this year to cancer, losing him within a period of 6 months, unbelievable, healthy child, hockey player and everything. Some women standing up saying, I'm the last, I'm the only one left in my family. Entire families in wheelchair, entire 3 generations in wheelchair in a house.
And eventually we made it to Winnipeg. And Winnipeg was, it's like a center where so many gathered and had their festivals and ceremonies. And but it was also a floodplain, so they often dispersed and lived on the higher lands in a way. But it was almost like a knot in the center of Canada. And what came out of all that was a very strong and powerful First Nations culture that had mingled. We used to call it the biggest reserve in Canada. And that's where we were open-heartedly greeted by so many the Sagin Reserve, so many reserves in that area who came down to help us to help participate in ceremonies that honored us and prayed over the water and helped again transform the Waterwalk into a higher quality vision, because it's such a spiritual journey. It's a journey of pilgrimage. On a reserve that was celebrating a powwow outside of Winnipeg, I went to talk to the directors about wanting to speak for water to the people that were gathered there. And they told me that, someone already came to ask to speak for water. He directed me to this other person, and it happened to be Bear Grandfather, who was sent by the Mohawk Nation to walk for water.
I mean, in Winnipeg, we met Bear Grandfather, and he started walking because all his friends died. He came out of Sarnia, Chemical Valley in Ontario. And the last man to die, all the lumps they found and called cancer were actually arsenic working its way out of his system. And like Ted would say, gosh, nobody told us not to eat the fish and the wilds and all that kind of stuff. And he was really concerned. And the elders said, well, to help save your life, you have to walk across Turtle Island for water. And this is a many-year walk, in a way, taking more than 1 year. I think it was 2002. The end
4 years.
My girlfriend, Pat, came up from Texas with her son, Matthew, who's just you know, kind of came out from school a little bit frustrated. We met up with Bear Grandfather. We were all so excited. We're planning our walk through Winnipeg and driving down the streets 100 times with slow-mo to make sure it's all just right in a way, and then always arriving late anyways. But we had all of Sarah's kids, my grandkids, 3 of them, my daughter, the 2 girls, and then who else? A Bear Grandfather, and he had the staff that he was carrying, his warrior staff, and he stood 6'7". The men were up front carrying the staff, and he'd pass it on because only men were allowed to carry the staff. So the 3 men, you know, either one of them would pass it on. And of course, it was so hot. It was right on the street, walking on the street, no problem. Carrie's driving the car, no license, of course. And here's the police, right away, up there and that. You're not allowed on the street, and everybody's got who do you think you are? We're the Waterwalk. You know, it's really important to save pure water. I don't care, you don't have a permit, everybody on the sidewalk. So we went down to the legislature there. There was Louis Riel's statue. Louis Riel is like honored like a god because of what he represented, and it was the true Metis of the blend of white and red for our country, and a government that did represent it, even though it was mid-Canada, but it at least represented more of the West. And his statue was facing the water, and then there was a medicine wheel. We did a wonderful ritual there, and other people came to participate and walk with us and pray too along the way. So we had a great time. Then we went to the Forks, which was the meeting ground for the First Nation.
In Thunder Bay, the Cantimeres welcomed us into their homes, their hearth, their family, and got the whole community to sponsor us, to allow us to talk for water, and they were really concerned about their water. And they did everything they could to try and save it, and talked about when the government monitored the quality of water coming out of industry, because there's a lot of industry along the Great Lakes, and the water quality was getting so poor that the fish were loaded with all kinds of toxins and chemicals that came out of that industry. And it went from the government monitoring the water to the corporations, and it just destroyed a whole watchdog system that could try to keep the quality of water in the Great Lakes.
I think that we could all take a jug here and say that each tell the story of each water, and this is only a fragment of what we had. We had huge bottles of water, but because of the weight, we couldn't carry them to on our return journey. So we left half on our altar in Victoria Island for water. This is called the Waccamaw Valley, and it's the Moose Jaw River. And what happens is that everybody always asks which place was worse or something. And that kind of always brings your focus to the one thing. But every place had something different. And this shows the effect of oil industry and water and how well they mix together. And it shows you also there's other industry, because there's many industries along there. All you have to do is go down to where it all begins and check all the industries along that river path, and you'll find chemicals in it, and you'll find oil. Old wells disintegrating, sometimes just leach into water systems.
There's a lot of water in Ontario. Lakes, creeks, rivers.
There's a lake every kilometer. There's another lake.
I know.
But that's the image most Canadians have of this country, that we have lots and lots, unlimited supply of good water. It's just coming. It's just coming. In other words, it doesn't matter what we do to this, as long as there's more goods, coming. But the problem is they don't realize it's already.
It's being polluted at the source.
It's not yet. It's not coming.
They're hiding all these pulp mills in that way the heck up north there. Nobody sees them. Nobody sees what they're doing. You can't see it. It's not there. Well, the contaminants are going in way up there before they ever get near people. Thunder Bay's split into 2 little cities. But they have two different water sources. One of them gets their water from Lake Superior, and the other one gets its water from Loch Lomond. Well, Loch Lomond, you don't want to drink this, folks, has Giardia. The other half of the city thinks they're the cat's meow. They can drink their water out of the tap, but it comes from Lake Superior. And right where it's coming out of Lake Superior, the CPR is trying to clean up a creosote spill. Right there where the pipes are. So we're trying to explain to people, this, yeah, it'll give you the shits, put you on a good diet program, but it's not going to kill you. Whereas this, God only knows what's really in it.
Ontario was sweltering hot. And the last, heat of summer, in a way, extreme heat. And going through places like reserves, like Grassy Narrows, again, the powwows across the nation. And we had the luck to arrive on time for Grassy Narrows. It's not far from Dryden. And it was the area where they had the first outbreak, or the outbreak of mercury poisoning coming from that mill, and that went into their waterways, that crippled again and blinded a whole generation of people, as well, trying to have children and to claim their roots as a nation. It was also coming to the closing of our journey. And so your expectations are great. You've done all this this test of your strength and will and courage to carry on, and you're bringing that into Ottawa. All the stories of the people along the way. It was such like a burden on you, but also you carried it as you carried your water, and with the hope that you can change things. Going into Ottawa was a very emotional journey, and feeling drained, tired, cold, and arriving to greet us was Lois Cape, who was a follower of the Mohawk Nation. And the grandmothers of the Bear Clan from the Friendship Center in downtown Ottawa greeted us with two large sweetbraids and welcomed us to Ottawa. So it was a very touching arrival in terms of that, and the press was covering it as well. And then we marched through the city of Ottawa all the way to Parliament Hill. And I spread out all my water bottles and poured them into champagne like glasses on the steps of Parliament to show and demonstrate the stories across our nation and the concerns for pure water and what was happening. And it was such a struggle. Even though I had a permit to be there, I was still hassled by the police. And when I went to get our MP to come down and listen to these stories, he refused to leave his office. Every day we went to Parliament to stand by the sacred fire and again display our water samples and talk about the quality of our water across Canada. Be part of that whole process of First Nations rising, allowing the people to speak their truths and be considered, that their voice be considered in Parliament, which is a place where parley to speak and truly represent the people. And that's what Waterwalk was, a grassroots movement stemming from the people. It wasn't any big organization. You didn't have to sign a membership card. You just walked your talk. You put it into action. And those are the prayers. That's what I brought to this scene. Again, when I think of what our First Nations represent, they represent a different culture, a different cultural theme. again, that takes us back to all the indigenous in all of us, to our roots, to the source.
This is our Flowmobile, and it's right across the nation that we've gathered signatures, water samples, everything across Canada. And it gave the ordinary person a place to even put their signature on or to come and walk with us, that anybody could do it. The man who wrote on here, it's on the other side of the car, and his name is Grant Woods. And he literally came out with his cane, an elder from Portage la Prairie, and his brother Lloyd Woods. And he said, tell them our people are dying out here.
My message to the youth of today is hope. I want to leave them with hope. Being an elder in my community, part of the indigenous studies at school, and imparting to them a different way of connecting with nature and Mother Earth. I want them to have hope. I see their despair, anxiety, depression, so much that is affecting them. We're not taught about our rights so much in the indigenous cultures, but we're taught about our responsibility. And you have to be responsible for your behavior, your example. The only thing we can really truly claim is our example, not who we become and all the titles that you can think of. But what's going to count is what kind of person you were and whether you walk the earth with integrity, respecting life around you. And no matter what situation you're in, whether you're trying to stand up for nature, stand up for the trees. And I know how that feels because I've been arrested quite a few times, and only recently I've been arrested for old growth trees, being old growth myself now. And I want to be an example to these young to not give up. Changes will come. It is slow in happening, but don't give up. And the thing we know when we get old and wise is that we have more patience. And the reward for patience is more patience. And so be patient, be compassionate, learn to cooperate with people, not instigate, not be harsh in your words, be gentle, because you are responsible for your words, your actions, your deeds, and all the things that exist around you. And so take that responsibility on as you mature and stand for the things that truly count in life. Never give up. Mother Earth hasn't given up on you. Never give up.
Well, we were certainly quite a crew. I don't know. Sometimes you look back, you think, oh, I wouldn't have done it if, whatever, it was this much or that. But it's like you wouldn't have done it if you didn't do it. Right.